every day.
Alright guys, welcome to another breakdown itself. I'm just going to break down the trade rumors and the lack of rumors with Baker Mayfield and why this is kind of strange. Other years, he would have been traded already, but this is more of a leverage play by the rest of the league. So let's look. Baker Mayfield was taken number 1 overall by the Cleveland Browns in the 2018 draft under head coach Hugh Jackson. This first year, he completed 63.8% of his passes, which is actually the highest completion percentage that he would have for his whole career. 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. At the time, the 27 touchdowns were a rookie record, 14 games itself, so he didn't play the whole season. He probably would have had more numbers, but that Baker Mayfield then is a completely different Baker Mayfield now. Different head coaches, different coordinators, difference of schemes itself. The first 2 years with Baker Mayfield was kind of like a seesaw of power. Browns being the Browns, if we're being 100% honest. But the 2018 year, he did finish with a rating of 93, which will be the second highest of his career. So takeaways from that first year was that he was letting it rip, he was letting it fly. He didn't really have a lot of good receivers. He had Jarvis the first year, and then he had Antonio Callaway, Bashard Perryman, and there were no star wide receivers outside of Jarvis. And he had David Njoku, Darren Fells with Nick Chubb, Carlos Hyde, and that backfield was just ridiculous. I like it. And that's before Nick Chubb even broke out. He did exactly what Cleveland needed at that time period, which was stabilize the quarterback room. Now, Cleveland fans, we've been cursed with bad quarterback play over the last 20 years. So our differences between just an average quarterback and a above average franchise quarterback is skewed because we're the land of the 18-month quarterback. Quarterbacks come here and they'll play for 18 months. They'll be on another team itself. And that was a horrible, horrible trend that started after Tim Couch unfortunately left the Browns. Then there was issues in the 2019 year. What happened in the 2019 year, OBJ trade, greatest of all time. The coach was actually fired, and then they took a offensive coordinator, Freddie Kitchens, who had no idea how to coach, and made him a coach. But what I want to preface is that at the actual numbers and wide receiver play was actually at a higher level than it was under Kevin Stefanski. In that year, both Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry went over 1,000 yards. And just keep that in mind. And they barely cracked 800 in Stefanski's systems moving forward. And Odell just couldn't stay on the field. Second year, he completed 59.4% of his passes, 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 21 interceptions with a rating of 78.8. Now, there was rumors or there were things coming on about Baker that year stating that Baker came into the second year out of shape. He never got a quarterback coach to work on his flaws. It brought a continuous pattern of not putting more time in off the field itself. One of the things about the first year is that they didn't have tape on Baker Mayfield, his tendencies, what he can and can't do. The second year they had tendencies, what he can and can't do, and there was one underlining thing about Baker Mayfield was his footwork, his mechanics. He'll take a 3-step drop back and turn into a 5-step drop back. He'll take a 5-step drop back and turn it into a 7-step drop back. And one of the reasons why was just because of his height. He wanted to get more depth on the target so he can see over the line itself. That was explained. So when he moved from the 2019 horrible season where he had accuracy issues and the team just flat out underachieved to the 2020 season where he posted his best career stats was 3,500 yards, 62.8 completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions with a 95.6 rating. That is by far the best version of Baker Mayfield. And one of the reasons why was the boot game, play action game. Baker Mayfield ranked top 5 to top 10 in play action pass, throws off bootlegs, everything that has to do with one read and go. He ranked near the bottom, and he's always been near the bottom, unfortunately, from clean quarterback pocket throws, and that could be attributed to height, and that's attributed to footwork, unfortunately, itself. The magical 2020 season where the Browns went 11-5 and they beat Pittsburgh. Reports were that going into the 2021 season, they actually wanted to get an extension done with Baker, and Baker actually bet on himself in the 2021 season. This is where everything went downhill. Read 2. Before this play happened, where he tore his shoulder, Baker Mayfield was 9 for 9 for 81 yards and a touchdown. It was a miscommunication on a route with Schwartz, and Baker Mayfield did not make a business decision on the return. He actually thought he was, I'm not going to say that he thought he was Superman, but he has to be smarter in making that tackle. And believe it or not, Browns fans, I believe that tackle is the reason why Deshaun Watson is a Cleveland Browns quarterback right now. Because if Baker Mayfield lets off of that tackle, doesn't try to hit the DB like that, let someone else tackle him. If he does not do that, he potentially plays better, because he would have played better this year. He would play better and he would be a Cleveland Browns quarterback. Hindsight is always 50-50, honestly. Like, if he wanted less money, no, if he wanted more money and he wanted to prove himself, and that's the walk-on mentality. I understand that all too well. He walked on Texas Tech, he walked on Oklahoma to the number 1 overall pick. He constantly has to prove himself. I understand that, but it gets to a point where you're in your own way. Sometimes you have to take a step back and assess. Unfortunately, and he battled, man. You can't question the man's toughness. He battled, and being a Browns fan watching this season was rough, because you can see that he was physically hurt. And then when the wheels fall off when you're hurt, your mechanics were never great to start out with. So it's going to cause an issue itself when it's a ripple effect. Your footwork is bad. Well, you're not as mobile no more. You're overcompensating for your shoulder. You're trying to throw in the shoulder brace. You're not really an accurate quarterback to start out from the jump. And now you have a shoulder brace that's affecting your throws and mechanics. And it just led to a horrible year. But I wanted to break that down. And then I want to give you a different reference. I said how great Baker Mayfield is out of a bootleg scheme, like a run-heavy scheme. Well, here's a breakdown of Baker Mayfield's poor passing stats. 2018, in a clean pocket, he was ranked 29th. 2019, in a clean pocket, he was ranked 35th. It's 32 starting quarterbacks now. 2020, in a clean pocket, he was ranked 32nd. 2021, in a clean pocket, he was ranked 33. So there is a trend here. The trend is force Baker Mayfield to make throws for you. Now, if he was a generational talent, unfortunately, a team would have traded for him already. But because the Browns are in this situation itself, they're going to sit and they're going to force the Cleveland Browns to release Baker Mayfield unless the Cleveland Browns pay at least up to 80% of that portion, where they can get Baker Mayfield for like $3 or $4 or $5 million. And I will be stretching it, because I can get him. The Browns can pay him when he gets released, and then I can just sign him for like $2 or $3 million, and there's no investment there. If he plays good next year, that's great. If he don't, I didn't spend $19.8 million in investment with him. So I wanted to break down the list of starting quarterbacks, and I'm just doing it on the scale of 2020 Baker before the injury itself, and who he's better than. AFC North, he's better than Mitch Trubisky, honestly. AFC South, Davis Mills is great as an interesting story, but honestly, he's better than Davis Mills. Let's just keep it real. He's better than Davis Mills. He's not better than any quarterback in the AFC West. That's not it. NFC East, he's better than Daniel Jones. Jalen Hurts, they're around the same, but Jalen has escapability and he's mobile. So, and he's a better locker room guy overall. So that's the NFC East. NFC North, he's better than Jared Goff. And one of the interesting things about the NFC North is that John Dorsey, who drafted Baker number 1 overall, is actually there, but Jared Goff's cap number is just so high, they can't justify trading for Baker Mayfield. That's it, NFC North. NFC South, better than Marcus Mariota, better than Sam Darnold. Jameis Winston is kind of like a tie-up, because Jameis is great, but he cut down on his turnovers. So that's the difference there. So I'm saying 2 out the NFC South. And then the NFC West, he's better than Geno Smith. All but one division, Baker Mayfield can't start and play. The problem is just perception in media. And whenever you see highlights of Baker Mayfield now, today on the talk shows, it's just him throwing interceptions. Bad plays, overthrows, and it's building a narrative to decrease the value of the quarterback itself. What I ultimately believe for Baker Mayfield, I believe he will get there, but he has to go through things a lot better. He has to dedicate himself more in the offseason, and he has to hire a quarterback coach in the offseason, which is reportedly something that he's doing this year that he didn't do the previous 3 years, and work on his footwork, man. I understand that Van Pelt and Stefanski was able to calm his footwork, but when he got injured, he just lost all of his footwork. Moral of the story is that Baker Mayfield is better than what a lot of people are touting. they have the cap room where they can eat the $19.8 million cap hit and be fine. They're not in cap purgatory. And then they actually get an additional $9.5 million after June 1st for the Austin Hooper release. Recommendation would be for them to sit. And one of the reasons why I would say sit on it, because we never know what happens. Training camp injuries, teams on a hot seat with coaches and GMs, and just overall saying, hey, I can't go into camp with this quarterback. And I see around like 3 to 4 scenarios, but it has to play out over time. Do I think Deshaun Watson gets the same amount of time or comparable or half the amount of time Trevor Bauer gets? No. And it's been a narrative of people pushing for that. And it's more so sentiment of they don't like the contract that was signed, because now teams have to pay up on that scale and on that level. So in all, it's always next year. Baker, I'm going to be rooting for you wherever you go. But this year,